Hello, namaste, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Cricket for Us. And today we're going to discuss the ultimate T20 World Cup preview. And you might be thinking, why is it the ultimate? Well, it is because the man, the myth, the willow, and the legend is right here. Nick from Cricket for Americans. Yeah, the willow is right there behind you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I love that I am forcing Willow in people's homes because people don't appreciate it nearly enough. But I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure as always. And for everyone watching, please do check out Cricket for Americans. As you know, you probably already subscribed to them, but go check out their content again. Like the video, unlike it, and then like it again. And then just share a comment, right?
How it works.
Resubscribe, do all that good stuff, right? And then just send those videos to your family members and tell them to do the same because genuinely you guys deserve it. Very close to 16,000 subscribers. And I hope you can get there very, very quickly. So close. But I think you're going to get there and then go past like 1 million sooner than you think.
Yeah.
We like to hope. Well, I'd like to hope. All right. Anyways, right, back on topic. So the T20 World Cup. First question, Nick. How are you feeling about your two teams, India and England, in this T20 World Cup?
All right. So the theme of most of my answers is going to be that I feel like this World Cup is wide open. Yeah. So to answer your question, I feel not so good, but I feel really good about both my team's chances. I root for England. I root for India. I root for the U.S., but they just barely couldn't get in there. Obviously, U.S. first. But it's just so wide open, in my opinion. Even it's in Australia. They're the favorites. We'll get to that later. I still think like we could see a lot of surprises here. It could be a lot of craziness. I'm super excited. I'm not super high on India right now. I'm really not. I think I'm just too negative. This whole last year, they've had so many different 11s, so many different. I haven't counted them all, but it's probably something like close to 20 or something. And I'm not sure how you build continuity, especially in T20 from that, whether it's injuries or this or that or B squads. And England, they've had such a tumultuous time with the Ashes. They've had a nice resurgence since then. So it's just, listen, it's almost near impossible to predict.
I think that's the hardest part about a T20 World Cup because like the World Test Championship and the ODI World Cup, you could probably look at it and think, okay, possibly these two teams just on like form and everything. But with T20 cricket, any team can pop up, aka Australia last year. No one thought they were going to even get to the semis, right? And they got to the semis, got to the final and won the final. They won the last two games quite convincingly as well. So I think you can never call a particular team. The reason why I asked you about India and England, because just for background, and you already know this, but just for background for anyone watching, England just thrashed Australia at home 2-0. And you might say an 8-run defeat is not a thrash. Well, it is in the situation where England are not playing 100% their best side possible either. And neither is Australia. And they're playing in Australia. One of the matches was in, I think, in Perth, which is one of the grounds in the World Cup, and the other matches were not part of the World Cup venues. But that one match, the first match, England scored 208, right? And even though England's death bowling isn't the greatest, especially with Chris Jordan in the side, they still were able to restrict Australia from getting to the 200 mark. So 208 mark, sorry. So England, to me, look like genuine favorites right now. And with India, right? Yes, they've won at home quite a bit, and they play a lot of different sides. I completely agree with you. They've had like 11 or 9 different captains in different formats this year or something. So yeah. I totally understand where you're coming from. In terms of their actual team, I think their team is a lot more solid than you'd initially think. Like, yes, they have an issue in the death bowling, largely due to an injurious Jasprit Bumrah and maybe the batting and fielding prospects of Ravi Jadeja not being available to them. But the rest, I think India looks pretty solid. It's the death overs that everyone's talking about. I think that's the biggest issue that I can see. Otherwise, I think India is definitely cruising it to the semis as well, from what I can tell. That all being said, I think there is another team that no one is counting, right? And that team is Namibia, because they absolutely hammered Sri Lanka this morning.
They did.
They literally did not expect that, the way they absolutely won it at a canter. And Asia Cup winners, right? Sri Lanka, yes, different conditions, all that good stuff. I understand. But you also have to understand that Sri Lanka were so in form and so excited about this T20 World Cup. And everyone was like, Sri Lanka are dark horses, dark horses, dark horses.
I picked them to be in the Final Four.
That's what I'm talking about, right? And that's when Namibia kicks in. So maybe Namibia can kind of walk into the Super 12s and then walk in to the semis. But who knows? Who knows? I think it's a tough one. But in all seriousness, though, I think India, England, Australia seem like pretty standard ones. If you were to pick your four to qualify into the semis or the playoffs, who would that be?
I mean, you took it right out of my mouth with the Namibia thing. They won by like what 55 runs or something. Mm-hmm. And David Visa, which is the one that a lot of people are familiar with, mm-hmm. he got a golden duck for crying out loud as far as batting is concerned. So he didn't really even contribute on the batting side. I had Sri Lanka in my Final Four because of how they just performed in the Asia Cup, taking down teams like Pakistan and India, and even Afghanistan is no slouch, taking down all those teams and beating Pakistan twice when Pakistan they sent the class of the Asia Cup going into that. But then they score 100 runs. I mean, we're talking about those are trident numbers once again right there. You don't want to be in that area. And so do I think Namibia is going to be a Final Four? Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I don't. Okay. I felt really good about South Africa, but they haven't looked that good recently. But this is my whole point about not sure about India and England, even though England won those two against Australia. It seems like, at least for me, a lot of these teams have a hard time carrying over one series to the next. Like, you really can't. Even a batter who gets like a 40 or a half century can't. I mean, T20 is so unpredictable. Mm-hmm. It's got to be like a huge betting thing, like a parlay. If anyone wins that, they win up $1 zillion. It's so hard to predict. But if I had to, and this is what again, you had the tri-city or the tri-county, the tri-countries, whatever it's called, tournament where you had Bangladesh, Pakistan, New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Me looking at those scores, those finals, each of those teams beat each other at some point in the tournament. It wasn't like Pakistan was just destroying everyone or New Zealand was. Yeah. I mean, can we get some continuity for crying out loud for some prediction's sake? So if I had to be pushed into a corner, which Ozjaw's pushed me into a corner, don't forget to like and subscribe for us 2.0.
Thank you.
I've got to put the favorites Australia in there. I mean, it's their home ground. You would be not just illogical not to put Australia in the Final Four, but you would just be trolling them, okay? And as much as I love to troll Jihan and Gabe and anyone else, I'm not going to do it. So I got Australia in there. But then everyone else, I'm not sure. You make a great point about England, but we've seen England before when the lights are on at the brightest, right? I can make an argument for India, like they've got to be in there. They're a perennial this or that. But I, as a fan of Indian cricket, I don't have any confidence. But I'm going to put them in there just because I'm just not confident about anyone. Sri Lanka, you lost your seat at the head table, pal. You're not in my Final Four. And watch, they'll win the entire thing. That would be hilarious. So I'm going to put Pakistan in there. I really am. I do think they're dangerous. Can they lose it? Sure. And if they do, people are going to make it to be this huge deal. Only so many teams are moving on. So I got Australia. I should probably look at the groups, right? That would make a lot of sense.
It's fine. I can tell you the groups. I
don't want to pull a Gabe, that would be embarrassing. So I got Australia. I got India, Pakistan. So that's group 2, India, Pakistan. So from this, I so badly want to say New Zealand because they're always like that comfort choice, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, they're not going to do you wrong. But then you also have England there. And then we can't just completely ignore the group stage teams. Like someone here, maybe a West Indies or, I don't think Netherlands is going to have a chance. I don't think the UAE is going to have a chance. Sri Lanka might be able to sneak in there. But I'm going to go with New Zealand because I can never count them out. So sorry, England. I know you guys think I hate England, even though I don't. I'm a huge fan, especially of that Chris Wokes. He's pretty darn good, right? But I got Australia, India, Pakistan, New Zealand. I think that's a boring choice. I think that's a safe choice. But I don't trust anybody. at all. Even those 4, I don't trust at all.
It's fine. That's how T20 World Cups work. You can't trust anyone, so it's all good. It's all good, Nick. But I'll tell you this: my team, I actually swapped 2 of those. So I would put Australia and England and India and South Africa. Those are my picks, right? For the semis. And because I'm a Pakistan fan, Pakistan is a secret, like not even a dark horse. It's just a secret option, right? Because you never know. You never know. So yeah, for that reason, I'm not even going to say it. But I think South Africa looks good apart from Temba Bavuma. I think the rest of South Africa look pretty good. Yeah, he's not at the best time of it. Yeah. I'm going to ask you a couple of more questions, which might seem a bit random to start off with. But if you had to pick one batsman you think is going to score the most number of runs in this T20 World Cup, I'm focusing on, Super 12s onward, right? I'm not counting first round, even though I actually should. I'm not counting round 1, right? So let's say Super 12s onwards. Who would that batsman be?
You'd want me to say like a Babar Azam or a Sky, but I'm not gonna. I don't know if there's anyone, and I'm not trolling. I don't know if there's anyone in Australia that I would put in that prediction for the most runs scored. I don't.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I just don't. David Warner, sometimes he looks like he's ready to go. Sometimes looks like he's 100 years old. And Finch, I mean, there's some Finch fans out there, but stop it. Okay, stop. But I mean, I have this fascination with a player from Pakistan. Okay. And I want to make sure I get the name right, because knowing me, I would probably mess it up. Not the pronunciation, but just the name, because there's so many great players here. But I have a fascination with the opener, Rizwan.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I almost said Nawaz, but he's not the opener. Rizwan. That he is such a consistent opener. He loves to score runs. I mean, even when he doesn't score a half century, he usually has a high strike rate. And you're going to tell me in 2 seconds that Rizwan's injured and he's not playing or something like that?
No, he's not injured yet. He's not injured.
That's why, honestly, that's who I have predicted. I saw him in the Asia Cup. I saw him last year in the World Cup, and I saw him in the tours throughout the year. This guy always scores runs. So that's who I have as a top run scorer. And he's an opener, so you got to like the opener's chances.
No, fair enough. I think that assessment makes sense. I'm going to go a bit left field. I'm going to say I think Sky's going to be the guy. Hey, see what I did there? But
Nice.
Surya Kumar Yadav, the way, and people might think I'm bigging him up too much, but the thing is, he just hits so many sixes compared to like Babar or Rizwan or Markram or any of the top 10 batters in the T20 rankings right now, right? He's 180 strike rate, scored over 800 runs this year alone in T20s, and he comes in at 3 or 4 and sometimes opens. He can bat anywhere as well. So for me, it's got to be Sky. If you had to pick a wicket taker, though, right? If you had to pick a bowler, right? You could call him best bowler of the series, or you could call him the highest wicket taker. Who do you think that would be?
Oh, man.
See, I'm coming up with all the...
I know. It's I would have liked Boomer's chances, but he's injured. He's not playing. Yeah. And India, I don't care what you say, they are going to struggle without having his stability there as your lead pacer. I could see someone from New Zealand surprising us. I don't know exactly which one it would be, but they have a lot of fine bowlers. And, sometimes, what was the tournament where tall kid just lost his mind? Was that the WTC? I mean, you just never know, right? Jameson. I saw tall kid. That's his name. No. As far as a wicket take, I mean, Shaheen Afridi, if you were going to think that, are you a Pakistan fan? I mean, this guy is a clear choice for one of those, but I don't like going with the obvious ones because, first of all, I don't want to jinx them. And second of all, it's never the obvious one. So, man, I mean, I got to think about this. I want to know who you're thinking. And then I got to think about this a little more because, me, I don't focus on the bowlers. Who cares about them, for crying out loud?
I'll tell you, Nick, most of the game is in the bowler's hands. It's in the palm of their hands, as Doc Ock would say, right? It is absolutely their prerogative. They're the ones running. They're the one about to bowl the ball, They're the one who bowl it somewhere.
Oh,
And then
I
the
have my
only
answer. Keep going though. Sorry.
And then the only important part that the batsman plays is the part when it hits the bat. After that point, it's not even the batter's, then it's the fielders. So most of the game belongs to the bowler. That's the reason why, Nick. But if I had to pick someone, Shaheen Afridi is a very good option. Issue is he's just coming back from an injury, so I'm kind of worried about that from a Pakistani perspective. And I'm not going to pick up Pakistani, even though I want to say Haris Rauf, but I'm not going to pick up Pakistani. I would probably say someone like Josh Hazelwood is a pretty good shout. So I would pick Josh Hazelwood as my top wicket taker or, best bowler of the series. Who is yours, Nick?
That's hilarious because I had said, I finally got because I had remembered about Australia. Their bowling attack is mighty fine. I don't give them any love for the batters, or the batsmen, whatever they call them now. Mm-hmm. But I was going to say Hazelwood as well. That's hilarious. Ooh. He's when he gets on a roll, he's going to take 3 or 4 every single match. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if Stark is playing. I'm assuming he's playing. I don't trust him to be consistent with high wicket taker numbers or wicket numbers. Cummins is an easy, safe choice. But I agree, like the third man in that band, right? If you're going to put him in a starting 3, I agree with Hazelwood. I really think that he could be super impressive. And my super dark horse, I don't even know if they're going to give him a chance, but would be a little Ngidi. Is that asking for too much in the Australia grounds? Ngidi with some of that pace? I mean, I don't know. Is he even going to get a chance? I don't know.
The best part about Lungi Ngidi is that he will go for 11, 12 and over for the first 3 overs. Then he comes in with the final over. People are trying to hit him for 6, but they can't because the grounds in Australia are 80 meters long, right? And he's going to get caught 79 meters. He's going to pick up 3 wickets, and he's going to be like 3 for 39 at the end of his 4 overs. What a performance, right? That's the type of bowler Ngidi is. So I get that. I totally understand that. If I were to pick, like I said, dark horse, I would actually go similar, but not the same. I'd go Kagiso Rabada. I think Rabada has definitely, even though in
that's
T20,
a brilliant choice.
Yeah. T20 internationals, lately he's not been firing as consistently as you'd expect him to, similar to Pat Cummins. But I think Rabada is a pretty safe choice. And one more question. This is more to do with another player. If you had to pick one player to be the worst player of the T20 World Cup, who would that be? Just a player. It doesn't have to be, it's a batter or a bowler. Like, just what the worst player? Who do you think? Who do you predict?
This is a fun question. Is Kane Williamson playing?
Oh, yeah.
That's my choice.
Ooh, Kane Williamson.
Hear me out, okay? Now, you want me to say Bavuma. I know you want me to. You want me to. I'm not going to do it. I mean, there's some guys on the India squad I can say too. Oh, man. You want me to say Siraj where he gets pumped, but
he's not in the squad. It's fine. He's not in the squad. Don't worry.
Oh, that's disappointing. But and you want me to say Aaron Finch. I want to say Aaron Finch, but I'm not going to. The reason why I'm going to say Kane Williamson is because he's the captain. New Zealand, they're always there. They were in the finals last year, right? I mean, they were there against Australia. The semifinals were one of those games.
Finals, yeah.
But, and I have no stats behind this. So, Cricket for Us 2.0 Nation, get after me if I'm wrong here, because I probably am. I just feel like he's had kind of a disappointing year. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Maybe I'm throwing some SRH in there too. I have no idea. But I feel like if New Zealand struggles, it's going to be all on Kane Williamson. And I don't know if where he's at right now, just the way I'm thinking, if he's going to be able to fight through that. Now, Ajrad's going to tell me, well, Nick, he's had 3 half-centuries, 3 centuries in his last 3 games, so you're crazy. I don't know. But that's the answer to my question. I'm sticking to it.
All I'm going to say is while you were talking, you gave me a brilliant idea. So I went and checked Kane Williamson's stats.
Okay, here we go.
In the last 19 T20 games, right? In last 19 T20 international innings that he's played, he scored approximately 500 runs at an average of around 30 and a strike rate of around 120. Okay, which isn't great for someone of the caliber of Kane Williamson. It isn't great. And reading those stats, I'm absolutely bonkers crazy, like shocked, because I thought his stats were going to be horrendous. Okay, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even as Jad. Hey, but genuinely, I think before the tri-series that happened, his stats would have been a lot worse for 2022. But the tri-series actually helped his stats get boosted up a bit because he did have a couple of really good knocks, or at least one that I can remember where he scored 68 off like 40 or something along those lines. So he did have a good innings here or there. But overall, I do understand where you're coming from. But yes, you guessed it, Nick. My choice was going to be Temba Bavuma, which is really unfortunate. And like, I love the guy. I think he's a genius. I think he's very good as a captain as well. But unfortunately, he wasn't selected for the South Africa T20 League in any of the teams when they drafted it, right? His batting has been really bad, and you can see that's affecting his batting as well. Maybe even the captaincy to an extent. So I actually predicted he was going to be dropped, and then David Miller or Keshav Maharaj was going to captain South Africa. But I don't think South Africa's gone down that route. They're going to stick with Bavuma probably until the T20 World Cup. Who knows? They're going to win the T20 World Cup, right? South Africa. It could be, and that's the best thing about T20 World Cups. They are they're unpredictable, uncertain kind of tournaments, and I absolutely love that. After asking you all weird and wonderful questions, right, Nick, I've got one final one for you, right? If you had to, well, actually, it's not even a question, it's a statement, right? It's a statement, you will answer it in some sort of way. If I start a Cricket for Us fantasy league, would you join it, Nick?
I saw your invite, so yes, I definitely would. Absolutely.
Okay. That's it. Don't worry. There's no other hard questions that I've got for you, okay? Because I'm going to share the link of that fantasy league in the description. I would love for everyone to check it out and, be part of it. I know this wasn't like an in-depth cricket analysis as I try and usually do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of more my speed because I've been so distracted with the baseball playoffs, which if anyone that knows, huge baseball fan, the playoffs coming up, basically our World Cup, but it's a yearly thing is happening right now. And my team's still in it. So, I'm just like glued to that TV. Baseball playoffs is always a time of the year where the Padres aren't a part of it. So they're actually a part of it. So it's kind of exciting, but I enjoyed this format, and the kids say on the DL, or at least they did 10 years ago. So we'll see if they still say that. Let us know, obviously, in the comment section, who do you got winning the entire thing? What's your final four? We didn't even make our selection for who's going to win it. Should we do that?
We can do that. Of course we can. Right.
Who's going to win it? The easy choice is Australia. We just saw them win it. It's in Australia. The fans are going to be there, all that kind of stuff. But I just can't go with the easy choice. I just can't. So for my final four, I'm going to oh my gosh. I'm going to say with no confidence whatsoever that India will win. Zero confidence. Is that a prediction? It is, because if I'm right, then I'm right. If I'm wrong, then I said I had zero confidence. 1% confidence that India is going to win it.
That's an interesting call, because I would have potentially, I was thinking, at least I told you my top four. So I did think of India, the first team that I thought of. But at the same time, you said, apart from Australia, like Australia seemed like a logical choice, but I think the most logical choice right now is England. Even though England lost at home, and you look at their last 5 T20 series, they've won one against Pakistan, and then they lost the last 3. But then they beat Australia in Australia just literally 3 days ago or something, okay? So I think with the team that the team that England has, they might just be able to burst onto the scene and kind of surprise a lot of sides, especially when the Super 12 start, because people are expecting England to be good, but with the likes of Butler, Hales, Malan, Brook, Stokes not so much, but Stokes just because he's in the side, right? You got Moeen Ali, you got Curran, you got potentially Wokes. That batting order looks pretty darn good to me. So I think they're going to score a lot of runs, and then they're going to try and find a replacement for Chris Jordan, who doesn't give 50 runs every 4 overs, okay? But overall, I think for England, for me, I'm going to predict this. I've never predicted England in a tournament ever in my life. And do you know what? I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going Pakistan for the win this World Cup.
Oh! The curveball. So we went with the homer picks. How unconventional. How surprising. But you kind of got to, right? You kind of got to. You got to have that faith. You got to have this or that. I'm very, very pessimistic with my teams. But you got to go into that tournament because anyone has a chance. It's so unpredictable that that's what you got to do. So I respect that. It's what I did. We're boring. I think if I'm wrong, I do think that Australia could just sweep the entire thing up. But
If they do, it would be a first in T20 World Cup history. Back-to-back World Cups. That's never happened. The only team that's won twice, they actually won in 2012 and then lost in 2014 and won in 2016, which is the West Indies, which is hilarious. We don't even know if they're going to qualify. Another question. Just thought of one question now, and again, you might be thinking, I thought we were done. We were supposed to be, but then I thought, what's wrong with that other question? This is the ultimate T20 World Cup preview, okay? That's the reason why it's ultimate, because it's random as hell.
Bonus content.
Bonus content indeed. I'm going to try and put bonus at the top. If you had to pick, who do you think is going to qualify from round 1 into the Super 12s? So if I were to tell you, you can probably look, but I'm going to talk through it anyways. So Group A includes, you got Sri Lanka, Namibia, Netherlands, and the UAE. And Group B includes West Indies, Ireland, Scotland, and Zimbabwe. Okay, so 2 teams from both of those groups. Who would you pick?
So I feel like Group A is a little easier. I'm gonna ride the hot hand and say Namibia will be one of the teams. I don't think Sri Lanka is done, but the Netherlands kept my US out of it, and they earned that spot, and they've already won one. So it's between Netherlands and Sri Lanka for that second part behind Namibia. And I'm going to go with Sri Lanka. I think they're tried and tested, and I think they're going to be able to pull it out. How many matches they get in this stage? Just
they
one
get
each?
No, it's 1 each with that team. So each group is 4, so
3?
Every team gets 3 matches.
Yeah, so Sri Lanka's got to win the next 2 to even have a chance. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go behind the 8 ball and still say Sri Lanka and Namibia from Group A. From Group B, I can see any of these teams. Zimbabwe was really impressive in the I don't know what you call it, the qualifier, Associate Nations, whatever. They were really, really strong. The West Indies, it just doesn't seem like a T20 without them. And then we've seen a lot from Scotland and Ireland. We haven't seen any of these teams play yet. But I'm going to go with Scotland.
Okay.
And Zimbabwe.
Wow. I have no words. I have no words. You're kicking the West Indies out? Gabe, are you watching this? Right? I'm going to put a timestamp. Gabe,
it's not even a Gabe troll this one time for the first time in my life.
Wow. I get it, though.
Confidence.
Yeah, it's difficult to have a confidence, even though you can see them potentially having really good individual performances, but as a team, they might not work as well as some other squads. So we'll see the first of them like tomorrow. So that's going to be fun, and let's see how that goes. But that's a brave call. No West Indies in your T20 World Cup. Wow. So just to get this straight, your Group A qualifiers are Sri Lanka and Namibia, and your Group B qualifiers are Scotland and Zimbabwe. Fantastic.
Those might be the worst calls of all time. We'll find out.
It would be amazing if you get those right, because I think if you do, one, it'll be a shock, but also that would be like, clairvoyance 101. Like, that's how it begins. That's how you start seeing the future. Anyways, thank you everyone for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Do check out Cricket for Americans, the Boring Reviews. Boring Reviews, the final reaction. Nick Peterson on Boring Reviews on Instagram, CFA on Twitter, everywhere, right? Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much again, Nick. And I genuinely hope everyone enjoys this. Please leave a comment. Please let us know your thoughts about all the bits we talked about. Best bowler, best fielder, worst player, best batsman, the teams you think will qualify, all that good stuff. And until next time, take care, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Adios.